The moment they met, they were head over heels.
She was like, "Mom, he look good." He was really in love with her.
They were talking about getting married.
But before wedding bells can ring, tragedy strikes.
She was viciously murdered. It was extremely violent.
You just can't believe it.
I just screamed, I cried. I'll never forget that day.
Those images never really leave you.
When the motive is finally revealed, the list of suspects grows.
This was shocking.
No one saw it coming.
If I knew, I would have went to the police.
I just didn't imagine that this was going to happen to my child, my daughter, my baby.
February 20th, 2016. It's a chilly Saturday morning in the quiet community of West Haven, Connecticut.
West Haven, just outside of New Haven. It's more of the suburban area in New Haven.
Typically, it's a very friendly and pretty safe community.
But this isn't a typical Saturday morning. It's a little before 7:30 when Patricia Folsom arrives outside the apartment complex where her adopted daughter, 26-year-old Kenita Nicholas, lives.
She used to babysit for her, so that morning she was going there to get the baby from her so she could go to work.
The normal routine would be that she would pull up into the apartment complex, beep the horn, and Kenita would bring the baby out to her.
And I was just outside, just beeping, 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 and then, calling her.
But Kenita doesn't answer.
Hey, it's Kenita. Leave a message.
Kenita, where are you? I'm outside.
Several minutes pass with no sign of Kenita and the baby. Concerned, Patricia gets out of her car and goes to the door.
Kenita, are you in there?
Once again, there's no answer. But what Patricia does here sends her into a panic.
I'm banging on the door, trying to get in, and I just hear the baby screaming, crying.
Kenita, are you okay?
The mother was rightly concerned. Her daughter was supposed to be there to let her in.
My heart, honestly, I thought maybe she slipped in the tub and got hurt.
With no key to open the door and fearing that something has happened to her daughter, Patricia calls 911.
West Haven Fire was the first to get there.
Please get my baby.
Fearing that the baby was in danger, they decided that they would breach the door.
As firemen enter the apartment, Patricia follows close behind, and what she sees is far worse than anything she could have imagined.
I kind of pushed up in there, and I kind of seen the scene.
No, not my baby. Kenita, no.
26-year-old Kenita Nicholas had a vibrant energy that brought joy to everyone she met.
She's very silly and just spontaneous and spunky. She's been the same way her whole life.
She was goofy. She always jump around, joke around.
She would give off this aura about her, like she had no worries in the world.
However, Kenita's loving nature stemmed from a troubled childhood.
She had suffered quite a bit of abuse and neglect as a child. She'd been shuffled from home to home, living with various relatives.
At one point in time, Kenita lived with me and my grandmother for a while.
It was only when she was in high school that Kenita had found a permanent home with Patricia Folsom.
I knew that she needed somebody to love her, and so I went and got custody of her. And she became my daughter.
She was very close and trusted her. She looked at her as a mom.
We just got closer and closer, and she was my heart. I loved her. She's the daughter I never had.
Patricia and Kenita remained close, even after Kenita moved to the Hartford area for college.
She went to Central State University, wanted to be a social worker.
During her freshman year at Central State, Kenita met an aspiring musician named Antonio Chambly.
He was working at the campus radio station at the time, doing a promotion. She walked by, and he struck up a conversation with her.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, we're doing a show this weekend. You should come.
Cool.
The chance encounter soon turned into a relationship.
I think they just clicked and connected.
Things seemed really great between them. They had a lot of fun together.
However, a year into the relationship, their lives suddenly changed.
I remember her telling me that she was pregnant with her daughter.
They loved each other, and now they were expecting a child. So they decided to get a place together so they could raise the baby.
Kenita dropped out of school and in 2011 gave birth to a baby girl.
She was a great mom. That was one of the things that made her happy, just being able to be responsible for her life.
She did everything she was supposed to as a mom and really embraced the role of motherhood.
But before their daughter's second birthday, Kenita and Antonio called it quits.
She left him, but she never really stated why. She wasn't one to tell all her personal business.
She wanted to move back to New Haven where her family was. So that's what she did.
At the time in her life, I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
Needing the support of her family, Kenita and her daughter moved back in with Patricia.
They lived with her mother temporarily. Then Kenita took a housekeeping job at a local hotel.
She was like, I'm working my butt off, but at least it's gonna pay some money enough for me to get my own place.
She found an apartment. She was so happy. It was like a exciting thrill for her.
That was her first apartment that she ever had on her own. And she was very proud of it. She was like, whew, my daughter got her own room.
She wanted to give her child a better life than she had.
And that's what she was doing, and fixing up her little apartment for her and her daughter.
Between the new apartment, work, and her daughter, Kenita stayed busy, but still found time to hang out with her friends, too.
She worked her job and did what she had to do so she could have fun, too.
But she wasn't looking for a relationship. Didn't seem like she was interested in anybody.
Then, in June of 2014, Kenita met 35-year-old Gerard Crosley, and that all changed.
Her best friend was Gerard's cousin, and she introduced her to him.
I can believe we've never met before.
I know, right?
He was kind of quiet and a sweet guy.
Gerard wasted no time asking Kenita out, and their relationship quickly blossomed.
Oh, hey, baby.
He was really in love with her and used to get her roses and flowers and things like that.
Oh, they're beautiful.
You like them?
Thank you. Yes.
She was really digging him. She just felt loved and appreciated.
The couple continued to grow closer and took steps to be together as often as they could.
He eventually moved in with her. She got him a job where she works.
In the fall of 2014, the couple took the next step when Kenita became pregnant.
She was like, I'm having a boy. She always wanted a boy.
With the birth of their son in June of 2015, it looked as if Gerard and Kenita were ready to solidify their family.
She said, we are going to get married.
She was thinking long-term with him. She was really in love.
But soon a tragedy would darken the bright future the couple envisioned. On February 20th, 2016, West Haven first responders have just found Kenita bloody and unresponsive on her apartment floor.
Not my baby. Kenita, no.
They started pushing me out so that I wouldn't see no more. And I'm like, well, give me the baby. Give me the baby.
Give me my baby. Give me my baby.
The 7-month-old child was present in that room.
I just left with the baby, trying not to think about what was going on.
Outside, paramedics work to determine if there are any injuries to the infant.
His clothes was all bloody, but he was fine. There was nothing wrong with him.
Sadly, the same cannot be said for Kenita.
I said, how is she? And the guy just shook his head. No.
Is she okay?
Sorry, man.
The news of Kenita's death leaves her family grasping for answers.
Who would kill Kenita?
It's completely senseless.
For Kenita Nicholas and Gerard Crosley, there appear to be no limits to their love.
She was in love with him, and she just wanted to be a family with her 2 kids and him and her, and just be happy.
But on the morning of February 20th, 2016, West Haven, Connecticut firefighters have just found Kenita dead inside the couple's apartment.
That was absolutely brutal. See, there was blood everywhere.
Even at first glance, it was obvious she had been murdered.
Her throat had been cut, and she also had wounds to her upper torso area and to her arms, indicating some sort of a fight.
When detectives arrive on the scene, they immediately treat it as a homicide.
It was a pretty violent struggle that moved throughout that apartment, throughout that immediate living room where the deceased was located.
While they're able to piece together how the crime may have unfolded, the motive is not clear.
It did not appear that this was a robbery.
There was no signs of forced entry. There was nothing stolen.
In fact, the only thing missing appears to be the murder weapon.
In the kitchen, the police found that the drawer had been opened where knives were kept, so that led them to conclude that it was possible that the knife that had been used to murder her had been taken from that drawer.
Who had wielded that knife? The blood on the walls may contain a clue.
It's common that in stabbings of this type, the suspect could become injured.
There could very well be a mix of the assailant's blood with Kenita's. This would definitively link the person to the crime.
Thank you.
While crime scene technicians collect blood samples, detectives start speaking to neighbors who have gathered outside.
We spoke to the neighbors, and all of them said that they heard some type of arguing and what they described as loud bangs coming from the apartment sometime between 7 o'clock and 7:20 in the morning.
Then there was no more arguing and only a baby crying.
One neighbor also reports seeing a possible suspect fleeing the area.
She saw someone dressed in a dark-colored gray and black hoodie sweatshirt, like a fleece-style sweatshirt, walking through the back of the apartment complex.
The witness didn't know the person, but told police they were walking away from the scene at around 7:30, just moments after Kenita's mom arrived.
Police started to canvass that particular neighborhood in order to see if they could find any surveillance footage, which would help them identify who this individual was.
While patrol officers search for cameras, detectives turn to Kenita's adoptive mother, Patricia Folsom.
Excuse me, ma'am. Do you mind if we ask you a few questions?
Patricia had been waiting in the ambulance with her daughter's 7-month-old.
The fact that the baby was there when she was killed horrified me. That absolutely stood out to me.
You can have your grandson back in a moment. Ma'am, we just need you to answer a few questions.
I'll try.
She was still in shock. I mean, she had just talked to her daughter, and now she's found dead in her apartment.
You spoke to Kenita this morning?
Yeah, it was around 7.
She had talked to Kenita about picking up the 7-month-old baby so that Kenita could go to work that day.
Patricia was already keeping Kenita's 5-year-old daughter, whom she left at home that morning with her adult son while she went to get the baby.
She was gonna go over, and she was gonna give Kenita a ride to work, come back, watch the kids.
Based on when Patricia last spoke to Kenita and when she arrived, detectives come to a terrifying conclusion.
We believe that Patricia Folsom had arrived at the apartment while the suspect was still inside.
Do you have any idea who may have been inside the apartment with Kenita this morning?
Gerard was supposed to be at work.
Gerard, Kenita's boyfriend, was already at work.
He worked in the kitchen, like breakfast stuff, because he used to go early in the morning, like before 5.
She didn't say anything about Antonio coming by.
Antonio?
Yeah, Kenita's ex, her daughter's father.
Patricia Folsom was able to provide information regarding the older child's father.
Patricia said she thought that they got along well, but Kenita was pretty private about her relationships. So if something was wrong, she probably wouldn't have mentioned it.
She kept me out of that. I don't know. They seemed like they were good.
Any custody issues?
Not until Gerard came in the picture.
Antonio didn't like the idea of Gerard being there around his child and potentially trying to raise his child.
To detectives, it was possible Antonio confronted Kenita and an argument ensued. It definitely seemed like a crime of passion.
Based on the amount of injuries to Kenita Nicholas's body, it appeared to us that this was some type of a rage incident.
However, just as detectives are realizing they need to talk to Antonio, Patricia raises another possibility.
That was Danielle, too. Her and Kenita didn't get along.
Whoa. Who's Danielle?
Gerard's ex.
Patricia tells detectives that Gerard has a lot of history with this woman. He fathered children with her.
According to Patricia, Kenita tried to get along with Danielle for the sake of the children, but to no avail.
She was jealous of the relationship that Kenita was having with Gerard.
She would say she was having problems with the other parent.
Were there fights between the women?
No, mainly arguing.
So nothing physical.
Not from what I know.
Everybody was kind of, a little grouchy about how they wanted to work out situations with each other. I was just like, just try to be nice. Kenita wasn't that type.
But now that Kenita had been found dead, detectives wondered if the tension between the two women had turned violent.
You need to find Gerard. Find out what he knows.
There's always a chance when someone's fighting. You're fighting with someone that you could really end up like that.
Detectives investigating the murder of Kenita Nicholas have just learned of tensions between the 26-year-old mother of two and a woman named Danielle Hall.
Kenita's boyfriend, Gerard Crossley, had previously dated Danielle, and they had children together.
Kenita had been reaching out to Gerard's kids, trying to make them feel welcome in his new family.
She tried to have them come over, but the other parent had issues with that. It just wasn't working.
Is it possible Danielle had something to do with Kenita's death? When detectives bring her in for questioning, she appears shocked by the news.
When did this happen?
This morning.
When detectives pressed Danielle about what Kenita's mom told them, she admitted that her and Kenita were hardly friends.
However, Danielle swears that she had nothing to do with Kenita's murder.
Where were you at 7:30 this morning?
I was still at work.
Danielle told detectives she worked third shift and didn't get off until 8:30 a.m.
Detectives will have to confirm Danielle's alibi. But before they do, she suggests perhaps Gerard may be a victim as well.
Is Gerard okay?
We're still trying to get in touch with him.
Look, just so you know, he's been mixed up with some pretty bad people in the past.
She told us that he was pretty well known in the drug trade, both seller and consumer of narcotics.
The people he used to run with, they scared me. Maybe this has something to do with them.
After talking to Danielle, detectives pulled Gerard's rap sheet.
He had a pretty serious criminal record. He had been arrested for some drug offenses.
Police started to wonder, was this crime the result of money that Gerard owed to somebody else that he hadn't paid that now fell on Kenita?
So it was imperative that we found him not only to interview him about what he knew, but to make sure that he's not injured or a victim himself.
Detectives contact the hotel where he works and make an alarming discovery.
He didn't show up to work that morning.
Next, detectives make several calls to Gerard's cell phone, but they all go unanswered.
They started to wonder if Gerard was actually murdered somewhere as a result of this, or he's on the run from whoever may be hunting him.
Though detectives are unable to reach Gerard, they are able to find Kenita's ex, Antonio Chambly.
He was obviously somebody we wanted to talk to and find out what he knew about the crime.
Once contacted by detectives, Antonio makes the 45-minute drive from Hartford to West Haven.
I want to thank you for coming in here to speak with us today.
Sure. I still can't believe this.
He seemed pretty shaken up about it.
He was looking for information about what happened and was just concerned for the welfare of his own child.
I don't know what I'm gonna tell her.
Your daughter?
Yeah.
You and Kenita shared custody, right?
Well, not officially. We never went to court or anything.
When they split, they had split custody of her. So he would have her half of the time and she would have her half of the time. Well, it wasn't like a court order or something like that.
So you got along?
Yeah. Probably better than when we were together.
They always remained friends and was very cordial and co-parenting together.
And her being with Gerard, that didn't bother you?
No, she's free to see who she wants.
Okay.
Antonio tells detectives he had no real issues with Gerard either. He was just initially cautious of another man helping to raise his child.
You know, he never liked him for his daughter.
So what was the problem?
It was kind of weird, having my daughter around some strange man. But Kenita, she told me to stay in my own lane. So I did.
So he was accepting to it.
Based on his genuine concern for both his child and Kenita, detectives believe Antonio is innocent.
It seemed like he had a pretty good relationship with her.
We're not enemies. We're not constantly bickering. We're not arguing. So it was kind of weird for some people to accept that we were just real good friends.
At this time, we did not believe that he was involved in any way.
I'm just in a place where it's like, wow, I just lost one of my best friends. Thank you, God. My daughter wasn't there to see it.
Detectives can't rule out the possibility that someone close to Kenita had killed her, though. And when they receive both the autopsy and blood analysis, they hope to have a new lead.
The forensic report was that Kenita Nicholas received numerous stab wounds, as well as a significant laceration to her neck and throat area.
Kenita was stabbed 30 times.
A stabbing like that, that's personal in nature.
It just screams it's a crime of passion.
However, the lab results on the blood found in Kenita's apartment don't yield the leads police were hoping for.
According to the lab results, it was only Kenita's blood on the wall.
Detectives are disappointed, but will soon learn that Antonio and Gerard aren't the only romantic links in Kenita's life.
We were contacted by an individual who was now in a new dating relationship with Kenita Nicholas.
It was a romantic relationship. They were romantically involved.
Detectives are shocked by the caller's claim, but even more so by their name.
The caller identified herself as Melissa Kelly.
Please find out that Kenita was in a new relationship with another woman.
Detectives were under the impression that Kenita was only currently involved with Gerard. So this information brought a new motive into the mix.
They were convinced that this relationship must have had something to do with Kenita's murder.
Less than 24 hours into the murder investigation of Kenita Nicholas, a witness comes forward to West Haven police with surprising information.
Gerard and Kenita had broken up, and Kenita had started this new relationship with a woman by the name of Melissa.
She'd learned about what happened to Kenita and contacted the West Haven Police Department and advised that she'd had some information about what had occurred.
Detectives immediately arranged for 28-year-old Melissa Kelly to come down to the station for a statement.
So how many people knew about the two of you?
I don't know. I thought we were a secret. She was supposed to tell her mom soon.
Kenita's mother didn't tell detectives about the new girlfriend because she didn't know.
She kept it quiet from me because it was a relationship that I would not have agreed with.
How long did you know Kenita?
We had been friends for a while.
It's been like over a year that they knew each other.
But they had only been dating for a few weeks now.
I just can't believe that she's gone.
She told the police she was looking forward to seeing this relationship grow and blossom.
Kenita deserved a little bit of happiness, especially after all that Gerard would do to her.
What do you mean?
He would hit her.
Kenita had indicated to her that there was a lot of domestic violence, that he had previously struck her and abused her in the past.
According to Melissa, the abuse was so severe, Kenita would call out of work.
Did she ever file a report?
No. She came to me about it, though, for advice.
She said he was on drugs and he was doing things to my cousin, you know, putting his hands on her.
Melissa tells detectives that with her encouragement, Kenita had broken things off with Gerard.
She said, enough is enough. I don't want to be with you no more. I'm not happy. This is not working. This is not good for my kid.
According to Melissa, her relationship with Kenita began to gain momentum after the split with Gerard.
They started hanging out more because that's who Kenita felt safe with, and she trusted this person.
Thank you.
For what?
Being here for me.
It was a new chapter. She was trying to find happiness.
However, according to Melissa, even as their romance grew more heated, Gerard was still in the picture.
Kenita kept the severity of the abuse from her family. Gerard would cool off and things would be fine, so she let him stay at the house to be close to their son.
She let him keep a key to her house and to come in to see her son whenever he wanted to.
Melissa says, even though Kenita ended the romantic relationship with Gerard, he was not letting go.
He was still trying. He thought that he could get back with her.
Did he know about you and Kenita?
Yeah, she told him.
According to Melissa, when Kenita finally told Gerard the truth about their relationship, he didn't take it well.
It wasn't like Kenita was leaving him for another man. She was leaving him for another woman. So pride becomes a factor, ego becomes a factor, and just a general challenge to his manhood.
According to Melissa, Gerard was a powder keg waiting to explode, and all he needed was the right spark.
When was the last time you saw Kenita?
She was at my apartment last night.
Where was the baby?
She brought him with her. She didn't trust Gerard alone with the baby.
Melissa claims Kenita returned home around 11 p.m. and called her shortly after.
When Kenita got home, they spoke on the phone, and Kenita told her that Gerard was upset that she was out late.
You need to hang up that phone.
Gerard was not happy with her and Kenita's relationship. He was upset that they were spending time together.
Melissa tells police that during their conversation, she could hear Gerard in the background.
He was like yelling and screaming.
So why didn't you call the police?
She said she had it under control, but I know that Gerard did this to her. I know that he did this.
She wanted to make sure that if it was Mr. Crosley, that he was apprehended quickly.
However, there is one aspect to Melissa's story detectives find troubling.
Melissa's story is the first they've heard about Gerard being abusive.
I really didn't think that he would do that. He really didn't seem like he had that kind of temper.
Nobody in our family knew that she was going through any of that stuff.
Detectives had to consider the possibility that Melissa was not being truthful.
Could Melissa be pointing the finger at Gerard to cover her tracks?
Kenita Nicholas's lover, Melissa Kelly, has just leveled a stunning accusation against Kenita's ex-boyfriend, Gerard Crosley.
Melissa told detectives that Gerard had been abusing Kenita.
Melissa also gives detectives new information about the night before Kenita's murder.
She was able to tell us that she and Kenita had spent the evening together the previous night. Kenita takes a cab home about 11 o'clock. She gets home, and Gerard's pissed, angry that she was out with her and that there was fighting throughout the night.
Where have you been all night?
However, detectives aren't sure Melissa's telling the truth.
When Kenita's mom spoke to detectives, she didn't say anything about Gerard being abusive.
He's a very quiet person. In no way do you see that he had the temper.
And you didn't go over there? Call 911? Anything?
She said that she had it under control.
She's a grown woman. She'll call me if she needs me. That was the kind of attitude she had.
It was enough to raise red flags with detectives.
They began to wonder whether or not Melissa and Kenita could be possibly fighting about Gerard.
And it didn't bother you? Gerard still hanging around?
Like I said, I was worried.
But you weren't jealous.
Jealous of what? I was with Kenita, not Gerard.
Still unsure of Melissa's story, detectives let her go and figure there's at least one person still out there who knows the truth. Gerard.
Knowing that he might have been either involved or a witness, we made it a priority to find out where he was.
But it's not until the afternoon of the 23rd, almost 72 hours after the murder, that detectives get their first potential lead on Gerard's whereabouts.
We were able to develop information that he had some family in New Haven, and we were able to locate Gerard Crossley's sister.
Ma'am, we're with the West Haven Homicide Unit.
Is this about Kenita?
She indicated that she had spoke to Gerard.
And when was that?
Saturday morning, a little before 8 a.m.
Gerard had contacted her requesting to borrow some money. She also indicated that he didn't seem like himself. He seemed a little off, was what she told us.
Hey, sis, what's up?
You okay?
What? Yeah.
And how's that baby doing?
Baby? Oh, yeah, the baby. Yeah, he's fine.
You sure you're all right?
Gerard told her that him and Kenita had an argument, had a fight.
No.
She kick you out?
I just can't go back.
According to his sister, she didn't learn that Kenita had been murdered until later that afternoon.
She sees on somebody's Facebook page that she was dead.
And you didn't have any idea before that?
Well, I knew he was acting strange, but I never suspected anything like that.
When we talked to Gerard's sister, I kind of got the feeling that she was loyal to her brother, and she was kind of torn.
In light of this new information, Gerard is now at the top of the suspect list.
He's not injured. He's not a victim in this situation. And the gears kind of switched to he becomes a person of interest at this point.
Where can we find him?
Maybe my cousin's. He stays there sometimes.
Detectives reach out to Gerard's cousin and receive some unexpected news.
We spoke to the cousin who told us that Gerard was at their apartment. He's ready to turn himself in.
Detectives immediately descend on the apartment and apprehend Gerard Crossley.
Get on the ground! Gerard didn't resist and surrendered to the detectives.
Gerard Crossley, you're under arrest for the murder of Kenita Nicholas.
He goes quietly, and he indicates to us that he's willing to talk about what had happened.
And then what happened is it takes another shocking twist. And this one is one that police can't even believe.
Said they had it on the news and I read it. I just was disgusted. So I was really just like, I still just wanted a reason. That's not going to make my family feel any better or bring her back. But still, when somebody do something, sometimes you just want to know, like, why? I don't think we'll ever get that answer.
On February 23rd, 2016, detectives in West Haven, Connecticut have just arrested 37-year-old Gerard Crossley for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Kenita Nicholas.
There's a sense of relief. There's a sense that Kenita's going to get a little bit of justice here. We know we have our man.
Kenita's new girlfriend told detectives that she overheard Kenita and Gerard arguing the night before the murder. And Gerard's sister admitted that he sounded very strange over the phone shortly after the murder occurred.
However, back at the station where Gerard is questioned by detectives, he swears they have made a horrible mistake.
Look, I don't know what happened to Kenita. You killed her, Gerard. No, man, you got it all wrong.
We interviewed him for 6 hours, and it was the same thing over and over again. I didn't do it. We know you did it. I wasn't there. We know you were there.
Eventually, after several grueling hours, detectives succeed in wearing Gerard down.
We were running on fumes at this time.
All right. I was there, but I don't know what happened.
Gerard claims that on the night of February 19th, when Kenita returned home late, he was high on drugs and angry.
He was supposed to be on drugs. He was like on PCP.
He admits to having a verbal argument with her, and he was upset that she was out, upset that she was dating a woman.
I don't like you messing with that female. You
Just
know
go
that.
to bed, Gerard. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
So you spent the night?
Yeah.
But Gerard says that when he woke up in the morning, the argument picked up where it left off.
He admits to physically assaulting her, that he had thrown Kenita across the room and struck her numerous times.
So when did you get the knife?
I don't know.
He indicated to us that he had blacked out.
Gerard claimed he was still high from the night before.
Could he have blacked out? Possibly. But I just don't believe he wanted to admit to himself what he did.
Most people don't want to admit to anything that they've done bad. Never mind something as heinous as killing the mother of your child.
Oh, man. Remember these pictures?
To refresh his memory, detectives confront Gerard with the autopsy results.
She was stabbed 30 times, Gerard. Come on.
We're trying to get him to just come around and tell us to take responsibility for it. He just won't. But his details were very clear leading up to it and very clear afterwards.
Slowly, Gerard begins to confess to the murder of Kenita Nicholas.
He told us that he, Kenita, and the 7-month-old child were the only people that were in the apartment at this time.
Gerard says it all stemmed from Kenita being unwilling to reconcile their breakup.
He didn't want to break up. He didn't want to be away from her. So that was a problem.
The argument started again, and then it just got out of hand.
He obtained a knife from the kitchen. He used that knife to stab her and slit her throat.
If he couldn't have her, then nobody would.
Then he admitted to cleaning himself up and leaving.
When Gerard finishes making his statement, detectives book him on first-degree murder and then inform Kenita's family that her killer is in custody.
My heart dropped. It was very hard to think about.
Like, wow, is this reality? I was hurt. I just can't believe that he actually took her life.
How you do that in front of your kid? To his mom?
Gerard's arrest is made even more shocking by the revelation that he'd been abusing Kenita all along.
None of us in our family knew that she was going through this.
I just didn't see it.
If I knew the seriousness of it, I would have done something to try to help.
As the case moves toward trial, all Kenita's family can do is pray for justice.
You should never see the day of light again. You should be punished.
But in the end, Gerard never goes to trial.
Gerard's attorneys approached prosecutors looking to cut a plea deal.
If he had chosen to go to trial, the minimum he would have been looking at is 60 years for murder. At that point, it became, you want to roll the dice, or would you rather plead to something less?
In March of 2017, Gerard pleads guilty to murder. In exchange for his plea, Gerard is sentenced to 35 years in prison.
He'll be 72 years old by the time he gets out.
It's extremely satisfying to know that not only does Kenita Nicholas's family get some justice, Gerard will not be able to hurt anybody else.
Will that ever be enough to make up for what Gerard took from those who loved Kenita?
I wish she had gave him more. I wanted to have life.
I just wish that she was here with me.
I miss her, man. I miss her.
She will be missed forever.
In their grief, Kenita's family also hopes her story could save someone else from suffering the same fate.
My baby didn't think he would go that far, but it did. That first shot, that's time to break it off. Go find family, go find friends, get away from that person. It's not worth your family losing you. It's not worth you losing your life.
The porch light at 714 Elmwood Court in small-town Coldwater, Michigan, was buzzing with a wet, electric hum on the night of November 12, 1987, flickering against a freezing sleet that was already turning the gravel driveways into black ice. Inside that yellow split-level, 7-year-old Amanda Ross was supposed to be finishing her spelling homework at the kitchen table, her small red winter boots drying over the cast-iron floor register, her mother stepping down into the basement for less than 90 seconds to switch a load of wet laundry. 90 seconds. That was all it took for 39 years of suburban peace to shatter into an irreversible, cold-blooded nightmare. When her mother walked back up the wooden basement stairs, the kitchen storm door was wide open, swinging violently in the biting autumn wind. A glass of half-finished chocolate milk was vibrating on the table, and Amanda's red winter coat was gone from its brass hook. On the linoleum floor, right where the girl's small socks had stood, sat a single, fresh pine cone coated in wet red clay, a soil type that did not exist anywhere inside the manicured lawns of the subdivision, but belonged miles out in the dense, impassable black bogs of the Branch County swamplands. Within 25 minutes of that frantic 911 call, sirens tore through the quiet rural community, red and blue strobe lights painting the bare maple trees in frantic, spinning hues as the Branch County Sheriff's Office declared an immediate countywide Amber Alert before the concept even had a name. Dozens of state troopers, volunteer firefighters, and bloodhound units converged on Elmwood Court, but before the first canine handler could even drop his dog's nose to Amanda's pillowcase, the back door of the house next door burst open. Out stepped 42-year-old Donald Wayne Keller, the trusted neighbor, the youth league baseball umpire, the church deacon, and the town's licensed master surveyor. Keller was already dressed in heavy insulated blaze orange hunting gear, clutching a high-powered aircraft-grade halogen searchlight in his calloused hands, his voice booming with urgent, righteous authority as he organized the arriving neighbors into disciplined grid lines across the front lawns. He took total, unquestioned command of the civilian response, pointing his heavy beam toward the northern woodline, shouting into the freezing rain that they had to move toward the state game area before the sleet washed away the child's tracks. The community followed him, without hesitation. For 14 agonizing days, as temperatures plummeted into the single digits and freezing fog-blanketed southern Michigan, Keller was at the absolute front of every single search sweep. He appeared on the 6 o'clock evening news with tears glistening on his weathered cheeks, holding Amanda's school portrait before the television cameras, pleading directly with an imaginary abductor to return the child safely, comforting Amanda's weeping father with heavy, supportive hands on the church steps, and coordinating coffee runs for the hundreds of volunteer searchers filling the high school gymnasium. The local headlines screamed with deafening urgency, Michigan 1987 cold case terror. Coldwater first grader vanishes in 90 seconds as community scours frozen bogs. Yet despite over 5,000 man-hours of sweeping through frozen cedar swamps, dredging icy irrigation canals, and searching every abandoned barn across 3 counties, the search yielded nothing. Amanda Ross had simply vanished from the face of the earth, leaving behind only the mysterious red clay pine cone and a community paralyzed by an ambient, toxic dread that locked every window and door for a generation. By the spring of 1988, the massive search operation had withered into a stone-cold wall of silence. The physical investigation hit a dead end. The wet linoleum had smeared any latent friction ridges, the driving sleet had completely contaminated exterior scent trails, and every transient worker, long-haul trucker, and registered offender within a 50-mile radius had produced rock-solid alibis verified by investigators. The local sheriff retired in disgrace. The volunteer search logs were boxed up in cardboard cartons, and the file on Amanda Ross was transferred into the dark archives of the Michigan State Police Cold Case Unit in Lansing. For nearly 4 decades, Donald Wayne Keller lived right there on Elmwood Court, mowing his immaculate lawn, waving politely to passing patrol cruisers, and watching Amanda's grieving parents slowly wither away from heartbreak before selling their home and leaving Michigan forever. Keller became the neighborhood's enduring patriarch, a living symbol of the community's resilience during its darkest hour, his mantelpiece holding a framed civic commendation from the county commissioners thanking him for his tireless leadership during the search of 1987. Then came the modern forensic revolution, detonating through 39 years of suburban lies with the undeniable power of advanced short tandem repeat DNA profiling and high-throughput mitochondrial sequencing. In early 2026, a specialized cold case task force funded by a federal forensic genetic genealogy grant pulled the physical evidence box marked Branch 87, Ross 01 from the state police vaults. Inside that sealed container sat the single piece of physical evidence that had been preserved in an airtight glass jar for nearly 4 decades, the wet pine cone found on the kitchen floor, still carrying the dried crumbs of red swamp clay. Utilizing ultrasensitive vacuum extraction techniques and laser-induced fluorescence, geneticists isolated microscopic skin cells and dried epithelial sweat trapped deep within the organic resin grooves of the pinecone scales, biological material that had been entirely invisible to the primitive serological testing of the late 1980s. The genetic profile extracted from the pinecone did not belong to an unidentified transient, an out-of-state predator, or an interstate felon. It mapped with mathematical certainty through regional familial databases directly into the local lineage of the Keller family. Detectives from the Michigan State Police Special Investigations Section initiated an intensive, covert surveillance operation on the now 81-year-old Donald Wayne Keller. On a chilly morning in February 2026, plainclothes detectives tracked Keller to a local diner in Coldwater, watching from 2 tables away as he drank a cup of black coffee and wiped his mouth with a paper napkin. Within 40 seconds of Keller shuffling out to his pickup truck, evidence technicians bagged the discarded napkin into a sterile container, rushing it under emergency lights to the state crime laboratory in Grand Rapids. 72 hours later, the definitive forensic report landed on the desk of the Branch County prosecutor with an unassailable statistical probability of 1 in 4.7 trillion. The DNA extracted from the diner napkin was an exact, identical match to the biological profile lifted from the pinecone on Amanda Ross's kitchen floor. The horrifying truth that emerged was beyond the community's worst nightmare. The trusted neighbor, the man who had led the search, the deacon who had wept on the evening news, was the very monster who had stepped across the threshold, snatched the child in those 90 seconds, and planted the pinecone to deliberately mislead the search parties away from his own property and deep into the impassable northern bogs. The arrest was executed at 6 o'clock on a misty Thursday morning in March 2026, when a convoy of Michigan State Police tactical vehicles and federal forensic vans blocked off Elmwood Court, their flashing strobe lights reflecting off the identical yellow siding of the houses where Amanda Ross and Donald Keller had lived side by side. When tactical officers breached the front door with heavy battering rams and pinned the 81-year-old man to his living room rug, Keller did not scream, he did not demand a lawyer, and he did not ask why the police were inside his home. He looked up at the lead detective with cold, sunken eyes, his breathing raspy and shallow, and whispered a single, chilling phrase that sealed his fate. The swamp held her for 39 years. How did you find the tree? During 28 continuous hours of video-recorded custodial interrogation at the Branch County Courthouse, the suburban facade was systematically dismantled. Keller confessed with chilling, clinical detachment to the abduction and murder of 7-year-old Amanda Ross. He revealed that as a licensed surveyor, he possessed detailed topographical maps of the abandoned Cold War underground drainage cisterns running beneath a decommissioned gravel quarry 3 miles south of the subdivision, a property he had personally surveyed and marked as off-limits to civilian search volunteers during the 1987 search, claiming the ground was structurally unstable. He admitted that while he was leading the town's search parties northward toward the state game area, Amanda's body had already been entombed inside a sealed concrete cistern in the South Quarry, right beneath the very ground where search vehicles had parked their command trailers. The breaking news bulletin exploded across television screens, radio broadcasts, and digital news feeds nationwide. Michigan 1987 cold case resolved. Neighbor who led search party arrested for homicide. The revelation triggered a shockwave of profound horror and betrayal that tore through the fabric of Coldwater and the surrounding rural communities. Generations of residents who had looked to Keller as a protector and a pillar of community strength were forced to confront the sickening reality that an absolute predator had lived in their midst, using his position of trusted leadership to orchestrate his own cover-up and manipulate the grief of an entire county for almost 4 decades. Guided by Keller's hand-drawn maps provided during his confession, heavy excavation equipment and forensic anthropology teams mobilized at the South Gravel Quarry under the glare of mobile stadium lights. Cutting through 3 feet of reinforced concrete and decades of compacted gravel, recovery teams breached the subterranean cistern, locating the physical remains of Amanda Ross, still wearing her small red winter coat and holding a faded spelling ribbon from 1987. The recovery brought a devastating, tear-soaked finality to the longest open wound in Michigan history, returning the child to the surviving members of her family for a solemn, private burial with full civic honors. In a packed courtroom at the Branch County Courthouse, 81-year-old Donald Wayne Keller stood before a furious judge, his orange jumpsuit hanging loosely over his frail, bent frame, his wrists chained to a heavy leather transport belt. Without a plea deal, without the possibility of parole, and without a single shred of mercy from the community he had deceived, Keller was sentenced to mandatory natural life imprisonment at the maximum security Oaks Correctional Facility in Manistee. As the judge struck the gavel with a concussive crack that echoed off the walnut walls, the sound closed the legal chapter on 39 years of silence, proving that no disguise of suburban respectability, no fabricated tears before the cameras, and no passage of time can ever bury the indelible truth of forensic justice. The gravel roads of Coldwater remain quiet beneath the Michigan sky, the maple trees on Elmwood Court shedding their crimson leaves each autumn just as they did on that freezing night in 1987. The yellow house at 714 has long since changed owners, its porch light glowing steady in the dark, but the memory of Amanda Ross is no longer an open cold case file lost in the shadows of a police vault. She is a permanent monument to the resilience of truth, remembered by a community that finally tore the mask from the monster next door, proving that even after nearly 40 years of manufactured darkness, the light will always break through, the innocent will be brought home, and justice will have the final, unyielding word. The heavy industrial excavator buckets biting through the compacted aggregate at the abandoned South Branch Gravel Quarry in late March 2026 did not merely breach 40 feet of industrial overburden. They cracked open a subterranean vault of lies that had sustained 4 decades of small-town complacency. The morning sun was struggling through a thick blanket of Michigan lake effect fog, painting the limestone bluffs in cold shades of slate and bone, while 50 state police investigators, forensic anthropologists, and hazardous materials specialists stood behind double perimeter security lines, their faces obscured by positive pressure respirators. The hydraulic shears tore away the rusted rebar cage surrounding the secondary drainage cistern, releasing a pressurized plume of stagnant, 40-degree air that carried the pungent chemical stench of coal tar waterproofing, diesel fuel, and industrial lime, materials that Donald Wayne Keller had requisitioned from the Branch County Road Commission under fraudulent maintenance dockets in October 1987. Beneath that 6-inch concrete cap, resting on an elevated steelwork platform that had remained dry above the seasonal water table, forensic recovery teams uncovered an engineered containment installation that transformed an isolated child abduction case into a sprawling, multi-jurisdictional forensic audit. The cistern was not an improvised disposal pit dug in panicked haste under the cover of darkness. It was a wired, climate-stabilized subterranean workspace measuring 12 feet by 18 feet, powered by an underground auxiliary electrical drop connected to the county's abandoned quarry pump house. Along the damp cinderblock walls sat 4 heavy-duty, galvanized steel job site lockers, each secured with heavy-gauge brass padlocks bearing the stamped inventory numbers of the Michigan Department of Transportation, lockers that had sat in total, unbroken darkness while 3 generations of local families drove their pickup trucks over the gravel access road above. When state police locksmiths breached the locking mechanisms using hydraulic cutters, The contents inside those 4 steel lockers dismantled every remaining shred of the manufactured narrative that Donald Wayne Keller had acted on a single, isolated impulse on that freezing November night. Inside the first locker, sealed within heavy polyethylene contractor bags packed with industrial silica gel and naphthalene crystals, lay 6 neatly organized 3-ring binders containing over 800 pages of surveyors' field notes, hand-drafted topographic cross-sections, and property boundary surveys spanning 4 rural counties in southern Michigan and northern Indiana between 1974 and 1991. The notebooks were written in Keller's rigid, draftman's block lettering, detailing every public works project, highway culvert installation, bridge replacement, and county drain easement he had personally surveyed during his 30-year tenure as the region's preeminent licensed civil surveyor. But interleaved between the technical calculations of soil load-bearing capacities and water runoff volumes were meticulous, horrifying annotations written in red drafting ink, transit schedules for rural school buses, walking routes of neighborhood children across unpaved county roads, precise time intervals between county sheriff patrol passes, and hand-drawn maps of abandoned Cold War fallout shelters, decommissioned railroad cisterns, and flooded agricultural drainage vaults that had been removed from public tax rolls decades prior. Inside the second and third lockers, forensic technicians documented an astonishing, grotesque physical archive of unprosecuted regional tragedies. Neatly arranged in labeled, clear plastic storage sleeves were 22 small items of clothing, vintage school badges, silver charm bracelets, and faded children's library cards dating from 1976 to 1993. Among the recovered artifacts was a yellow plastic hair barrette belonging to 9-year-old Brenda Sue Mattingly, who had vanished while walking her bicycle home from a 4-H meeting in rural St. Joseph County in June 1978, an engraved silver cross necklace belonging to 11-year-old church choir member Timothy Vance, missing from an unpaved county road near Hillsdale since October 1982, and a faded red leatherette pencil case belonging to 8-year-old Karen Lynn Miller, who disappeared from a roadside fruit stand outside Angola, Indiana, in August 1985. The revelation detonated across the regional law enforcement apparatus like an earthquake. The Michigan State Police, the Indiana State Police, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation mobilized an emergency joint command post inside the Branch County Armory in Coldwater, pulling 94 cold case homicide and missing persons files dating from the pre-DNA era. Detectives realized with sickening clarity that Keller's professional credentials, his state surveyor's license, his orange safety vest, his high-visibility utility truck equipped with amber warning strobes, and his tripod-mounted optical transit levels had provided the ultimate camouflage for nearly 2 decades of predatory operations. He was a man who had possessed a legal, unquestioned right to stand on the edge of any private property line, look through high-powered optical lenses directly into bedroom windows and schoolyards, and map out the exact blind spots where rural roads met impassable cedar swamps without ever arousing the slightest suspicion from homeowners or passing police cruisers. In the Analytical Command Center, forensic document examiners and GIS mapping specialists loaded Keller's decoded field notebooks into an advanced geospatial profiling program. The data established an undeniable, terrifying pattern. Every single one of the 11 unsolved child disappearances across the tri-state border region between 1976 and 1991 had occurred within 500 yards of a state-funded highway culvert replacement or county drainage easement where Donald Wayne Keller had been the primary on-site surveyor of record. In several instances, historical County Road Commission records revealed that Keller had personally signed off on the backfilling and concrete capping of subterranean drainage chambers within 72 hours of a child being reported missing in that immediate township. While the mapping teams were connecting the geographic nodes of Keller's crimes, inside the high-security administrative detention wing of the Calhoun County Jail in Battle Creek, the psychological facade of the 81-year-old former deacon was undergoing a total, catastrophic collapse. Keller sat in a windowless interrogation suite, his wrists secured to the floor anchors by heavy steel chains, his orange jumpsuit sagging off his hollow shoulders, his rheumy eyes darting between Assistant Attorney General David Vance and FBI Special Agent Marcus Reed. The arrogance that had allowed him to walk through town for 39 years as a respected civic patriarch had burned away, replaced by the cornered, desperate panic of a man who realized that his private kingdom of concrete and silence had been completely unearthed. Vance did not raise his voice. He laid 12 large, high-resolution photographs onto the steel table in a precise chronological grid. The first image was the red clay pine cone recovered from Amanda Ross's kitchen floor in 1987. The subsequent images showed the contents of the 4 lockers pulled from the quarry cistern, the yellow hair barrette, the silver cross, the red pencil case, and the hand-drawn survey maps showing the exact coordinates of 5 additional sealed subterranean drainage chambers across Branch, Hillsdale, and Steuben counties. Vance leaned across the table, his voice flat, icy, and carrying the unyielding force of 40 years of delayed justice. Donald, the quarry was just the staging area. We have the binders. We have the transit logs. We have the signatures on the culvert permits. The ground-penetrating radar units are rolling onto the first 4 sites in Hillsdale and Angola right now. You can sit in this room and watch the television cameras broadcast every single vault we dig up on national news, or you can start talking about the locations before the backhoes hit the concrete. Keller's hands began to tremble violently, the metal chain links rattling against the stainless steel table leg. He buried his weathered face in his calloused palms, his breathing turning into a ragged, wheezing rasp as 40 years of carefully compartmentalized madness finally broke through his defenses. Over the course of 36 continuous hours of videotaped interrogation, Keller peeled back the layers of his monstrous double life, detailing with chilling, mechanical detachment how he had used his position as county surveyor to construct a hidden network of subterranean crypts across the rural Midwest. He explained the methodical, counterforensic precision that had baffled investigators for decades. He had never utilized his personal vehicle for abductions. He had used his official county-issued 4-wheel-drive survey wagon, complete with state municipal license plates, roof-mounted amber beacons, and magnetic door decals that granted him access to gated state forest lands, restricted utility easements, and private agricultural lanes at all hours of the night. He would position his survey equipment along country roads during the late afternoon, observing the routines of local farm families through a surveyor's theodolite, noting the exact minutes when children walked home from bus stops or crossed pastures to perform evening barn chores. When he executed an abduction, he would stage the scene to direct investigative attention toward impossible, distant vectors, just as he had done on Elmwood Court in 1987 when he planted the red clay pine cone to send bloodhounds and search volunteers marching into the frozen northern swamps, miles away from the South Quarry, where Amanda was held. He revealed that he had deliberately volunteered to lead search parties, organize civilian volunteer grids, and coordinate logistics with local sheriff's departments specifically to control the perimeter of the physical investigations, steer search dogs away from his hidden drainage vaults, and monitor the real-time theories of lead detectives from inside the police command trailers. The impact of Keller's sweeping confession detonated across southern Michigan, northern Indiana, and northwestern Ohio like a series of concussive artillery strikes. The breaking news headlines dominated every major network and digital platform across the nation. Michigan 1987 cold case expands. Search leader's confession uncovers tri-state subterranean serial network. In communities like Coldwater, Hillsdale, Angola, and Sturgis, where 3 generations of residents had grown up with unlocked doors, community potlucks, and church league baseball games, the realization of what had lived among them provoked a profound, traumatic reckoning that permanently shattered the innocence of small-town rural America. Generations of former search volunteers, men and women now in their 60s and 70s who had spent weeks marching through freezing sleet, dredging icy rivers, and searching dark cornfields under Keller's authoritative direction in 1987, were overcome by an agonizing mixture of fury, grief, and soul-crushing betrayal. Neighbors recalled Keller bringing thermoses of hot coffee to freezing deputies at roadblock checkpoints, Keller holding prayer circles on church lawns for missing children whose locations were recorded in the notebooks in his pocket, and Keller presenting Amanda Ross's parents with a carved wooden memorial plaque that had hung above their fireplace for 20 years before they left the state. The multi-agency recovery operation that mobilized across 3 states in April 2026 was an unprecedented forensic and engineering undertaking. Over a 4-week period, specialized excavation convoys equipped with downhole borehole cameras, ground-penetrating radar, and heavy hydraulic braking units systematically located, stabilized, and breached 5 additional subterranean concrete vaults identified in Keller's confession. From an abandoned railway drainage conduit near Hillsdale, teams recovered the physical remains of Timothy Vance. From a sealed concrete irrigation vault beneath an agricultural easement in Angola, they recovered Karen Lynn Miller, and from 3 secondary culvert chambers along the historic rail corridors of Branch County, they recovered the remains of Brenda Sue Mattingly and 6 other missing children whose disappearances had remained open, unresolved wounds in regional police archives since the late 1970s. In every instance, the forensic pathology findings confirmed that Keller had utilized the structural properties of deep concrete, anaerobic clay packing, and industrial desiccants to construct tamper-proof preservation environments, believing that his technical expertise would permanently defeat the reach of future forensic science. But the microscopic toolmark comparisons conducted by the Michigan State Police Crime Laboratory systematically dismantled his legacy. The tool striations on the severed padlocks, the wire-cutting marks on the utility lines, the specific chemical signatures of the coal tar mastic sealants, and the direct genomic profiles extracted from biological touch samples across all 11 recovery sites matched Donald Wayne Keller with mathematical, incontrovertible certainty. The legal proceedings that followed in the Branch County Courthouse were conducted under an atmosphere of suffocating, solemn gravity. The Michigan Attorney General, working in direct coordination with county prosecutors from Indiana and Ohio, filed a consolidated 55-count true bill of indictment charging Donald Wayne Keller with 11 counts of open capital murder, 11 counts of aggravated child kidnapping, and 33 counts of tampering with evidence and official misconduct under color of municipal authority. On May 15, 2026, the historic courtroom in Coldwater was packed to its absolute capacity with hundreds of surviving family members, retired law enforcement officers, and community members who had traveled from across the country to witness the final, absolute crushing of the monster who had terrorized their region. When Keller was wheeled into the courtroom in transport restraints, his face ashen, his hands trembling violently on his lap, the gallery maintained an absolute, deafening silence that resonated with the collective sorrow and unyielding strength of a community that had refused to let the truth die. Keller entered formal, binding guilty pleas to all 55 counts, waiving all rights of appeal, post-conviction relief, and statutory sentencing delays in exchange for remaining in the specialized medical isolation unit of the state correctional system rather than facing transfer to out-of-state holding facilities. Presiding Judge Arthur Montgomery delivered the final judgment of the court, his voice echoing off the high oak-paneled walls with the unyielding moral force of an entire state. Donald Wayne Keller, you are given the trust of your neighbors, the authority of a public officer, and the sacred responsibility of a community leader. You wore the vest of a public servant and the cross of a church deacon, and you used them as weapons to slaughter the innocent and terrorize 3 generations of families. You thought that your maps, your concrete, and your calculated lies would outlive the memory of this community. You believed that if you buried your crimes deep enough beneath the earth, the world would forget the names of the children you stole. But the truth does not decay in the damp, it does not dissolve in the rain, and it does not surrender to the passing of decades. Under the laws of the state of Michigan, this court sentences you to 11 consecutive terms of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. You will live the remainder of your days in absolute isolation, forgotten by the world you tried to control, while the names of Amanda, Brenda, Timothy, Karen, and every child you harmed will be honored, remembered, and loved for all time. The sharp crack of the judge's gavel struck the oak sound block like a concussive shockwave, bringing a definitive, permanent end to the dark empire of Donald Wayne Keller. 4 armed state tactical officers immediately stepped forward, wheeling the shackled 81-year-old through the rear security doors of the courtroom sally port, removing him from the sight of the living world forever. In the months following the sentencing, The physical scars of Keller's crimes were systematically eradicated from the landscape of southern Michigan. The County Road Commission completely demolished the South Gravel Quarry, crushing the concrete cisterns into fine aggregate, backfilling the excavation pits with 40,000 tons of clean native soil, and planting the 40-acre parcel with native prairie grasses, wild lupin, and white oak saplings. The site was permanently dedicated as the Branch County Children's Memorial Prairie and Sanctuary of Truth, an open, sunlit nature preserve featuring 11 polished granite benches arranged along a winding limestone path, each bench inscribed with the name, the portrait, and the personal story of a child reclaimed from the darkness beneath the earth. On a warm, luminous afternoon in late August 2026, as the summer breeze rustled the tall prairie grasses and the sun cast a golden brilliance across the rolling hills of Branch County, hundreds of citizens gathered at the sanctuary for the formal dedication vigil. Among them were the surviving siblings and relatives of Amanda Ross, Brenda Mattingly, Timothy Vance, and Karen Miller, standing together along the stone path, their hands clasped, listening to the soft murmur of the wind through the oak trees. Amanda's older brother, Robert Ross, walked to the central granite monument, holding in his hands a small, polished wooden box containing his sister's recovered spelling ribbon from 1987. He gently placed the ribbon into a bronze time capsule embedded in the base of the monument, looking out across the blooming prairie toward the blue horizon. For 39 years, we were told that my sister was gone into the dark, that the swamp had taken her, and that we would never know the truth, Robert said, his voice carrying clear and strong across the listening crowd. They told us the cold case was closed by time. But time did not close this case, the truth did. The monster, who took her, thought he could hide behind the badge, the map, and the neighbor smile. But the ground gave up its secrets, the community stood firm, and today, Amanda and all her brothers and sisters are out of the shadows. They are home, they are remembered, and their light will shine across these fields, pure, unbowed, and eternal, forever. As Robert finished speaking, the church bells of Coldwater began to toll 11 times across the afternoon sky, the deep, resonant chimes rolling over the rooftops, through the maple groves of Elmwood Court, and across the wide, green farmland of southern Michigan. The long shadow that had hung over the rural Midwest since 1976 had dissolved completely. The cold cases were solved. The subterranean crypts had been emptied, leveled, and consecrated, and the community had proven that no matter how deep the darkness is buried, no matter how heavy the concrete is poured, the light of truth will always break through the earth, returning the innocent to the sunlit world they left behind, unyielding, unbroken, and triumphant for all eternity. The high-frequency hum of digital stereoscopic microprofilometers inside the Specialized Materials Analysis Division of the Michigan State Police Crime Laboratory in Grand Rapids did not cease its cycle throughout the damp, overcast days of early October 2026. It was here, beneath 50,000-watt calibrated optical arrays, that structural geochemists, federal ballistics engineers, and digital document archivists were completing the forensic autopsy of the auxiliary artifacts seized from Donald Wayne Keller's workshop subfloor. The 11 confirmed victims pulled from the cisterns of Branch, Hillsdale, and Steuben counties had permanently dismantled Keller's civic mask, but inside a secondary, lead-lined metal surveying transit case extracted from beneath the concrete pad of his tool shed, investigators discovered a deeper, unexamined archive of physical evidence, 82 hand-annotated field survey notebooks, 214 glass photographic plates dating from 1968 to 1975, and a heavy brass ring containing 26 stamped keys marked Michigan Conservation Corps/Regional Forestry Outposts. The historical personnel records of the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, unsealed under an emergency federal subpoena, revealed that between June 1968 and September 1974, a 23-year-old Donald Wayne Keller had been employed as a state forestry surveyor and conservation easement cartographer assigned to the Manistee National Forest and the remote river corridors of the northern Lower Peninsula. The position had granted him unmonitored nocturnal security clearance to hundreds of square miles of isolated state forest lands, gated logging fire roads, and decommissioned civilian conservation corps subterranean storage bunkers carved into the glacial moraines of Wexford, Lake, and Osceola counties. Vast, unpopulated woodlands crisscrossed by unpaved seasonal trails where county sheriff patrols were virtually non-existent during the late 1960s. Assistant Attorney General David Vance, accompanied by FBI Special Agent Marcus Reed and Michigan State Police lead cold case detective Sarah Miller, established a forward operations command post inside the historic Wexford County Courthouse in Cadillac. Spreading brittle, yellowed sheriff's blotters, microfilmed county gazettes, and hand-drawn forestry maps across the conference tables, the Northern Recovery Task Force cross-referenced the newly decrypted 1960s survey coordinates against 58 years of unresolved missing persons files from the pine forests of northern Michigan. The geographical and mechanical correlation was undeniable. Between October 1968 and August 1973, 5 young women, all high school seniors, rural summer camp counselors, and collegiate forestry interns, had vanished without a trace while traveling along the remote, Tulane Blacktop stretches of M55 and 37 and the gravel fire trails buffering the Pine River watershed. In every case, the victims' vehicles had been found parked neatly on overgrown logging pullouts with their distributor rotor arms extracted using precision pliers or their mechanical fuel lines blocked with small lead shot pellets, their car keys missing, their purses resting on the passenger seats, and their footprints ending abruptly in the damp pine needle mulch. The oldest open missing persons file in the northern Lower Peninsula belonged to 18-year-old Cadillac High School honor graduate Susan Lynn Parker, who had disappeared on a